send samples free to your houses.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone. You ready? Anyone want to sit? No? You guys all happy standing? Dan, you happy standing in the back? All right. You don't want to sit? All right, everyone. Please welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of mQoL, Frank Pezzullo.
Thank you.
I'll just hold it. Checking. Okay, it works. All right. I don't have any slides, but I like to hold this as I talk to you guys. So my name is Frank. I've got friends, investors here, and I've asked them all, what's the message I want to get across today? I'm very grateful for all the other innovators within this longevity market. The reason I had difficulty understanding what message I want to get across is I come in and mQoL comes in when your longevity hits a speed bump that's unexpected. It's when you're diagnosed with a disease, cancer, chronic illness that is unavoidable. And that is where mQoL's solution provides value. So first, listen, I know some people had lunch, everybody's sitting down. If everybody can stand up for me, if you're able to, that would be very helpful. So there's three things that I think create a transformational company. The first is, can your solution be something that every human in the population can get behind? Because you have a pretty strong wind at your back if that's one. Two is, can your core solution solve problems in multiple marketplaces? And three is the world ready to adopt the solution of the problem that's there? And I had everybody stand up to ask everybody a question in here, and there's two more behind it. And the first is, please sit down if you've had anybody diagnosed with cancer within your family network. Please sit down if you have any friends that were diagnosed with cancer. And please sit down if you know any friends that have known somebody that's been diagnosed with cancer. And everybody look around. It's telling. 1 in 3 people get diagnosed with cancer today. And there's not enough visibility on what's going on with their treatments within the real world. So there is my first reason I created mQoL. I believe, hopefully by a raise of hands, if everybody believes giving a patient's voice in their treatment journey is something all of you can get behind. Can you raise your hand? Great. Now, to educate anybody that doesn't know what QoL is, I should have asked that, but I feel like the title gave it away. Does anybody know what QoL stands for within the healthcare space? They want to raise a hand? Quality of life. mQoL stands for measuring quality of life. Rather than go into the product itself, nobody cares about my solution. They care about their problems. So I don't want to bore anybody with the product. What I will tell you what mQoL does to make it easy to understand is I will also ask for a little bit more participation is for raise of hands of who believes smoke alarms work before a fire starts. We serve as a smoke alarm for a patient's voice during their treatment journey. We allow them to share their symptoms and quality of life during their treatments, which gives physicians the ability to know when an adverse event may happen way sooner, inevitably creating a better outcome for the patient and creating a better outcome for the physician. And hopefully, as mQoL keeps growing, we also give this data and help payers understand why outcomes the way they are and why drugs are working well and why drugs are not working well. Does anybody know how quality of life is tracked today in the real world? You don't, because it's not. So once the drug's approved, there is no mandatory reason to track quality of life today. Most drug trials in phase 2 and phase 3, especially in oncology where we focus, you are required to capture quality of life data. I believe that this should be captured post-drug approval in phase 4 in the real world evidence as well to really tell you what's going on with the patient. QoL is captured in a clinical questionnaire, sometimes 40 questions long, that's not relevant to the drugs that are treating that patient today, and it's done on a paper. So you go in person once every 30 days or 60 days, you fill out the questionnaire, And I think if you've ever gone to a cancer visit, it's very difficult, especially if you are a caretaker or have a family member. But they take that data and there's nothing to do with it. It's not actionable. It's just reactive. So it's useless. You might as well rip it up and throw it away. What mQoL does is we capture it at a frequency higher than anything within the system today so that we can learn what drugs are working well and what drugs aren't. The second thing, which I highlighted, I think makes companies wildly successful, is, I'm trying to think of the way I want to approach this correctly, because I don't want to highlight too much of mQoL and what our methodologies are in capturing data, because that may not highlight other companies here and how they do things. So I want to approach this somewhat hypothetically here. Let me think. So the second thing I would probably say that I'd like to discuss would be, is the world ready to solve this problem? And I'm not sure if people are familiar with EOM. It's the Enhanced Oncology Model. It was created by CMS because they didn't know how outcomes were doing within patients. mQoL is now deploying in an academic institute. It's deploying in community centers, and it's deploying in an infectious disease trial that BARDA has funded the government. And I'm not here to gloat about that. I humbly share that with you because I think it's a positive that the world is now transitioning at the inflection point that they realize how important this is to capture. And it's something that is very exciting and meaningful for me, that they are ready to adapt and adopt this type of a platform. The system today, when it comes to payers as well, if you are familiar with that space, has no data on what drugs are working well and what's not. And, I heard Dr. Wei Su speak earlier, and all of these longevity and proactive companies get me very excited, just as much as mQoL itself. It's my belief that payers and insurers have to get with the program. And why don't they cover these pre-screenings? Why does somebody have to get diagnosed with cancer and then you have to come in and treat? That is where the system's broken. Can I get a raise of hands if they agree or disagree? And I think that is what is also needed, and that's where these two spaces need to collide for the better. I get emotional talking about this because of my family who's gone through cancer a little bit and seeing kind of what's happening. And I lost my dad 6 weeks ago, so I apologize. So, it's something that I just wanted to share with this group today. I wanted to participate even though it's not as much a longevity company and more in the medical technology space. But it's really important that this quality of life data set, and it's really important that this symptom data set is captured for patients throughout their treatment journey, and honestly, every single illness. Oncology is just one of the most serious ones that deals with a lot of chemotherapies and treatments, but really it should be in all chronic diseases. So I think I'm going to do a favor for Nick and give him a gift of something that can never get taken back with a little bit of time to catch back up with everybody. So I hope you learned a little bit about mQoL. If anybody wants to learn, obviously, a little bit more about the product and what we do more in general, I'll be around later today. But thank you.
Let that be an example to all the other speakers.